All right, so for guys getting started in the business, my quick little story, my wife's grandfather passed on a tradition to my wife's father, who passed it on to me. And there's a story behind this, so just listen. And they basically passed down this, what's called Poppy, what they call it, Poppy's Famous Popcorn. If you ever slow cooked popcorn, and basically this Poppy's Famous Popcorn is you have a pan, you put oil in the pan, and you put it on the fire, and then you let the oil heat up, and you put in the popcorn kernels. Now, I'm not talking about like popcorn that is cooked in the microwave or anything like that. These are actual kernels you put in the pan, and what happens is you sit there and wait for the popcorn to pop, and all of a sudden what happens, the popcorn pops and it just completely takes off, right? And then it fills the entire thing, and we put butter on and salt and stuff like that, and that's Poppy's Famous Popcorn. Anyway, so the bottom line is you put the popcorn, you put the kernels in the pan, and you wait. And that's exactly like this business. It's exactly like cooking popcorn, because you put the kernels in the pan and nothing happens. Nothing happens. So it's almost like this. You get started in real estate, you're doing deals. You might have never done a deal before, and you're like that kernel that's sitting there, what's up, sitting there in the pan, and what happens is you have your relatives, your friends, your family, and they're going, "So, you making any money yet?" Right? And the kernels are in the pan and they're doing nothing. The heat is on it. You put the oil in the pan. You're making popcorn. You got the kernels in the pan, but absolutely nothing is happening. There's no sign of progress whatsoever, and you maybe have put money into marketing, and then your friends and relatives, they say, "You making any money yet? How's that real estate thing going, right? How's that thing going? Is it going good for you? I don't see anything happening." Right? And you're sitting there, I can't believe you're spending money on marketing and on this bit. I can't believe you're doing it. And there's no signs if you're going to get a deal. How do you know if it's going to work? Right? I've heard these things are illegal. I heard you cannot flip a house without owning it. How can you flip a house without owning it? And what happens is they're putting this down in your head, and you start to question yourself, and then you look around, because you're the only one of all your friends and all your relatives and all your coworkers and everybody that is trying to step out of the norm, to step out of average and move into extraordinary. But what happens is you're sitting there and you're looking at the pan, and there is absolutely nothing happening in this pan. There's no popcorn popping, and there's the point where the pan heats up, the oil heats up, you got the kernels of popcorn in the pan, and there's a point where there's nothing happening, and that time is where people quit. That time, that gap of time frame between when the actual popcorn gets hot enough to actually pop, that time is when one kernel pops, that's your first deal. That's your first deal. So there's a time when there is nothing happening. You're putting money into marketing. You're putting money, you're talking to sellers, you're making offers, right? And you're turning around and you're doing what is the right thing to do. You're generating leads. You're putting money out there to generate leads, but you're not having anything come back yet. You're going to have sellers that are going to tell you you're crazy, right? They're going to tell you, there's no way I'm going to sell my house for that. They're going to want retail. So what happens? You're getting bombarded from all sides. Your parents and relatives and friends are going, "What are you, crazy? I can't believe you're doing this real estate thing. You're not making any money yet. You're putting all this money, you're putting all this time and energy, and nothing happening. Are you sure it's going to work? Are you sure it's going to work for you? I heard you can't do these things. I heard they're illegal." And then someone's going to be the devil's advocate that's going to try to give you their best advice, right? And they're going to do some research, and they're going to Google and try to find out about this wholesaling thing, right? And guess what? If you Google anything, I don't care what it is, you're going to find all the good and you're going to find all the bad on it. And guess what? You can find an entire story on how bad everything is. So you've got the kernels in the pan, and nothing is happening. And that is the point right there where either you are going to quit or you're going to make it. So what happens during that time? What can we do to keep us in the heat? We have to turn up that heat. We have to turn up that temperature so we can turn around and that first kernel pops. And when that first kernel pops, my friend, that's when you go out and get your first check. That's when everything changes. That's when all your friends, your family, your relatives, and all your coworkers that said you were crazy and making any money yet, is it going to work? When all that changes, right, and that first kernel pops and you get your first check and you show that proof of concept, that is going to change everything, right? So what you have to do is keep your head down, keep completely, absolutely 1000% focused and on exactly, because I'm telling you, that time frame was when everybody quits. That time frame when nothing is happening. That time frame when they go out and they meet a seller, and it's all the sellers they talk to want retail, right? When that time frame happens and nothing's happening, because what is going on at that point in time right now is you're learning, right? You're getting better. You are you're basically paying your dues, right? And in this business, when you first start and you're first getting started, you're paying your dues, but you got two choices. You can look at the negative, everything that's going wrong, everything that sucks, everything that's not working, everything, and you can freak out of everything that's not working, or you can focus on getting better. Every single appointment that you go on, you can evaluate and say, what could I do better in that situation, right? And every time you meet with a seller and they tell you they want retail, you can learn how to get better. You can ask for a referral, right? And you can talk to a seller and you'll understand the seller decision timeline, where all of a sudden a seller wanted retail initially, but then over time, circumstances change, and because you follow up with them, you'll get that deal. But it's exactly like my father-in-law's, grandfather's, Poppy's famous popcorn. He would turn in, he put the oil in, he put the popcorn in, and nothing would happen. That is the defining point that is going to make or it's going to break you. You're either going to quit, you're going to throw in the towel, you're going to get inside your head and talk yourself out of this thing, because your friends, your family, your relatives, and you're not going to get the results that you expect. Listen, here's the thing. There's the thing about expectation. If you come in and you expect to blow this thing out and make, your first $10,000 check or first $20,000, whatever the check is, in the first month or 2 months, and your expectation is not correct, or it doesn't, or your success doesn't meet that expectation, then you're going to quit. You're going to say, I expected to do this and it didn't work, and you are basically completely missing the entire process of gestation, of putting the kernels in the pan, turning up the heat, and guess what? Nothing's going to happen. You're not going to have success. It's not going to turn off. It's not going to be overnight. You're not going to put the kernels in the pan and immediately the popcorn's going to pop. It doesn't happen. You might have one kernel pop, right? But then it might be some time before those kernels continue to pop. So it's just like cooking popcorn. This business is exactly the same way. You have to put your heat on. You have to talk to sellers. You're going to get rejected. They're going to tell you want retail. You're going to have your friends, family, relatives, everybody you know that's going to tell you you're crazy, right? And you're going to wonder, what the heck am I doing? And you're going to freak out, and you're going to get inside your head, and you're going to talk yourself out of this thing, and you're going to quit. Or your expectation that you have isn't going to be congruent with the results that you get. And if those expectations are not congruent, then you're going to quit, right? So what do? You can control your expectation, right? You can control your expectation, and you got to focus on the process. What's the process? It's meeting sellers, it's making offers, and it's doing that in a consistent basis, and it's following up on a consistent basis. And if you do that and you ask yourself after every appointment, what could I do to get better? What could I do to get better? You will get better. You just don't step into any business and all of a sudden turn around and get results overnight and think, oh my gosh, I haven't made, $100,000 in 6 months, so I'm going to quit. That is stupid. That is ridiculous. And any normal business owner that gets in and looks at that, they'd be you're absolutely crazy. Do you realize that most businesses fail? They don't make any money at all whatsoever. And you want to come in here in the wholesaling business, and all of a sudden, if you don't make $100,000 inside 6 months, you're a failure? No, that's insane, right? The bottom line is that you get better. Tyler White's, he's out North Carolina. He went out. It took him 6 months of spending money on marketing, talking to seller, making offers, getting rejected. His family told him he was crazy. His friends told him he was crazy, right? All that stuff, it took him 6 months. He got a property under contract, and that contract failed. He got another property under contract, and that contract failed because he got it at too high price and he couldn't sell it. He got another property under contract, and it failed. He did that 4 times. He got contracts, properties under contract. They all failed. He couldn't make it. And he came down and says, you know what? I don't care what it takes. I'm going to make this happen. He flipped the switch. Exactly. He turned around, he put himself in beast mode, and he said, I'm going to make this happen. If people are going to do it, I can do it. If there's other people in my market that are doing it, I can do it. If there's other people in the world doing it, I can do it. There is nothing different between them and you. So Tyler White's, what he did is he kept pressing forward. He kept going forward. He decided that he's never going to quit. He decided he's going to make this happen. And guess what? In his 6th month of moving forward, making offers, talking to sellers, focused on the process and be perfecting the process, he went out and he got his first check. I think it was like $6,000 he got his first check. $6,000, right? His first check. It took him 6 months. He put the kernels in the pan. It took 6 months for him to have that first kernel pop. Would you quit? If it took you 6 months, would you quit? Right? Now, Tyler, guy's a multi-millionaire, right? In this business, crushing it. Now he's speaking on stage, right? Now he's speaking, and now he's going out and doing it. Scott Oots, right? Him and Max Maxwell turned around and did this event this past weekend, We Live, which is awesome, which is amazing. I'm so excited for those guys. Scott Oots. I knew Scott Oots. He came into my office. I personally mentored him one-on-one, Scott Oots, and basically broke down my entire system. And guess what? He didn't come out of the gate crushing it. He didn't come out of the gate. It took him 2, 3, 4 months before he actually got that momentum. It was that time frame. He put the kernel in the pan. He put the heat on, and nothing happened. He had doubt. He questioned himself. He didn't know if he could do it. Him and his wife were going, I don't know, man. Is this the right thing? He was putting more money out than he had money coming in. He put more money out than he had money coming in. Imagine that. That's called business. You put money out, you invest, and then money comes back. But guess what? There's no guarantee, a time frame when it's going to come back. It might come back in 6 months like Tyler White's. It might come back in 3 or 4 months like Scott Oots. But guess what? Scott Oots, right? After he got momentum, first year did over $1 million in revenue. Now he's doing over $3 million a year in revenue. And they just did this massive event out there, crushed it. Over 1,000 wholesalers in the room. Now he's on stage teaching this business, right? Imagine if he would have quit. Imagine if he would have listened to all the naysayers out there, all the haters, all the people with doubt, all the people that are in that time frame that quit and says, oh, that real estate thing, that doesn't work. Oh, I've tried that before and it doesn't work. Well, guess what? They're going to go back to their job. J-O-B, right? Going back, doing whatever they came from, right? You know what? I don't want that. I don't want that for anybody, right? I want that for you. What I want for you is during that time frame, you have to fuel the fire. You have to fan the flame. You know how you fan that flame is you focus, instead of focusing on everything that's going wrong, everything that's not working, everything that sucks, everything of all your friends, family, relatives, and everything that is against your expectation, because you're the one that creates that expectation. You know, just like I do. Everybody does. How do you fan that flame? You focus on all the success stories. You listen to the success stories. You watch, if you go to Flip2Freedom.com, we have a tab called Success Stories. Listen to all those success stories, because if they can do it, you can do it too. Right? Read about successful people and what they've done and what they've accomplished. Right? And if you read those, guess what? It's going to fuel that flame, and it's going to enable you to keep moving forward when you're afraid, when you don't think it's going to work, when you don't think you have what it takes, when everybody around you is telling you it's not going to work. Everything around you, all these signs. You're going to meet with sellers. You might meet with 10, 15, 20 sellers, 30 sellers, and they're all going to tell you they want retail. You have a choice. You can sum up your entire real estate career off 30, 40, 50 appointments because they all want retail. You can sum up your entire real estate career and quit and just be like everybody else out there. 97% of the population are quitters. Quit, right? They'll turn around. They're going to try something. If it doesn't work, they're going to quit. They're going to get talked out of it. You want to be like all them? Quit, right? You want to be extraordinary? You want to be successful? You want to make more money in a month than the average person makes in a year? You got to do something different, right? You got to do something what they don't do. And you know what that's called? Stick-to-itiveness. If you have a stick-to-itiveness, if you have that, you, my friend, will be the one that's going to be on the other side. You, my friend, is going to be on stage in front of thousands of people, telling your story of how maybe it sucked for you. Maybe your popcorn didn't pop. But guess what? You know what's so exciting about this business? When the popcorn does pop, and when you have proof of concept, it just continues to pop. Right? And it just goes, and just pull. And next thing you know, the success comes pouring in like the floodgates have opened. It's almost like, it's like a dam, right? And you chip away at the dam, and chip away. All of a sudden, boom, you hit one more swing of the axe, and bam, the dam breaks, the floodgates open, and you have more success than you've ever dreamt possible. And see, that's what's going to happen for you. If you have what it takes to stick with it, if you can push out all the naysayers, you can push out all the negative thoughts, if you can push out all that and focus, right? Focus on the process. Focus on the process. You're going to have success. I'm telling you. It's like, I've met so many people. I've met thousands of people in this business that are crushing it, from all walks of life, that are introverts right? That have zero sales experience, that stutter, right? I've met people that stutter that are making $100,000 a month. I've met people that are in wheelchairs, right? They're successful. You know, people that came here and don't even speak English, and are crushing it. People that are male, female, black, white, people in towns. I met these two kids. People go, well, I'm in a small town. I can't do this. I'm in a small town. Really? I met these two kids from a town of 30,000 people. 30,000. All the houses they flipped were no more than $30,000. You know what happened? They turned around, made $100,000 their first year out of the gate. You know how old these kids are? These kids are like 21, 22 years old. You know what? They turn around. They didn't go, well, you know, my town's too small and I don't know if it can work for me, and maybe I shouldn't do this, and they didn't do, maybe I should try virtual wholesaling in another different market. They didn't do that. No. I've seen people, tons and tons of people from all walks of life, all backgrounds, every education level, from different countries, people that live in different countries that flip properties here in the United States and are making six-figure incomes working for themselves. People that are young. I had this kid, 18-year-old, Jalen White, 18-year-old. I met him for the very first time, came into my meetup. He had less than $142. He had minus $142 in his bank account when I met the kid. He didn't know anything about wholesaling. He got started. We did the first 4 deals together. He made about $75,000. Did he work hard? Yes. Did he struggle? Yes. Did his popcorn pop right away? No. Did he have doubts and fears? Yes. Did he think he didn't do it? Yes. Did he meet with sellers that wanted retail and told them that it's crazy, there's no way they're going to sell their house for that little? Did he make offers? Did I have to work with him on his expectations? Yes. Guys, we're in a business, right? People come in and they go, I'm telling you, people's expectations are crazy. Because you see someone that goes out and gets a check in the first 2 weeks, you go, hey, if I don't get a check in 2 weeks, I'm going to quit. Really? I mean, give me a break. I mean, it's like I was looking, they have like a Quiznos subs around here, right? It costs $250,000. You have to cut a check for $250,000 to open up a Quiznos sub. And you have to go through school, and you have to go through this, and you have to go through that to open a Quiznos sub, and there's no guarantee that you're going to have success. So not only do you got to pay $250,000, and you got to have a physical shop, and you got to be there all the time, and you got to go to school, and you know how much a Quiznos sub owner makes per $100,000? Make $100,000. That's it. So you invest $250,000. It's going to take you 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 years to even get your money back. And people are going, well, if I don't hit my goals in the first 2 months, I'm going to quit. Guys, literally, really, give me a break, right? I mean, come on. You're learning this business. This business can change. Guys, do you realize that flipping houses, what we're doing, wholesaling, is the beginning? This is the start into it. This is the least barrier of entry that you could possibly attempt to get into. You get into this business, you learn to flip houses, right? You don't go buy Lamborghinis, you don't go buy big, gigantic, whatever, unless it's an investment opportunity, right? And what you do is you take the money, you stash the money, and you turn around and invest in cash flow real estate. That's what you do. And in 5 to 10 years, you could be so set. I'm talking generational wealth. I'm talking wealth that is gonna, it's ridiculous wealth. You turn around, you keep your lifestyle the same, and you take all the excess cash and you plow it into a separate account, and you take that and you reinvest it back into cash flow properties. I mean, imagine if you had 1,000 multifamily units and you were making, $50 per unit. That's it. And you had 1,000 multifamily units and you had $50 per unit. That's $50,000 a month without your effort or energy, because they can be professionally managed. Guys, that's what I'm talking about. This past year, we've, in 2018, bought over $20 million worth of real estate, 420 units, just passed in 2018. I'm working on a handful of deals right now that will get us over 1,000 units in less than 2 years. Crushing it. Why? Because of this business. You step in and you learn how to wholesale. Then you up your game, take that cash, put it off to the side, and you learn how to buy large apartment complexes. Apartment complexes will not, in a recession, stays. Why? Because people need a place to live and they're going to pay their rent every single month. And guess what? You can do that, and you can turn around and you can take this business and you can build it into something absolutely extraordinary. And you're going to give up and you're going to quit because your popcorn didn't pop in the first month or 2 months or 3 months. You're going to give up on the entire dream, right? Because it didn't work out like you thought it was going to work out because your expectations were incorrect. I'm telling you, don't do it. Don't do it. Stay with it. Learn the business. Get better. Understand the process. Focus on generating leads, making offers, you will create momentum. You're going to go out and you're going to get deals. And if you do this correctly, in the next 5 years, you can turn around and build 1,000 units very quickly, 1,000 units. And you could have $50,000 a month coming in without you putting any energy. That's literally recession proof. Recession proof. $50,000 a month. What would you do with it? Imagine having $50,000 a month and having all your zero debt. You didn't owe anybody anything, and you have $50,000 a month coming in. What would you do? What would you do? Would you go travel? Would you hang out with your kids? You know, what would you do? $50,000 a month, and that's not a lot, really. It's not a lot of money at all. You know, you want to double that? Go get 2,000 units. Make $100,000 a month. You want to double that? You know what? Get 4,000 units. Makes $200,000 a month. Right? I mean, really. I mean, what? You know, you're young. Some of you guys on this thing right now are like 25, 30 years old. Are you kidding me? 25, 30? Do you have any idea? Do you have any idea, if you follow what we're talking about, where you're going to be in 5 to 10 years? You could be 55 years old, right? 10 years before actual retirement, right? And the next 7 years, you put your head down, you go get a deal, you go out and crush it, you take that excess cash, put it off in the cash flow assets, you'll be 55, 7 years from now, Antonio, and you're going to be 10 years before anybody else retires, and you're going to be sitting on top of the world. That's where you are. That's the opportunity. Don't throw it away because of an unrealistic expectation or because your results didn't match your expectation and now you're pissed and now you want to quit. Don't throw it away because of an and I don't want to call it unrealistic. Don't throw it away because your expectation didn't meet. You want to know what your expectations to be? I'm going to dedicate 5 years to this thing. I'm going to go out and crush it in 5 years, and I'm going to learn everything I can learn. I'm going to turn around, and I'm going to replace my full-time income, and in 5 years, I'm going to give it 5 years. That's the expectation. So within a month, if you don't make it, and you talk to a bunch, and you don't make, $10,000 check, you got your 5 years you've invested. That's the expectation going in. I want the expectation. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to dedicate 5 years of my life to this business. I'm going to make as much cash as possible. I'm going to throw it off into an account and I'm going to invest in cash flow assets. That's your mission. That's what you want to do. All right, man, I got to get to work. I'll talk to you guys later. Hope you guys have an awesome Monday. Go out there and crush it. Remember, your popcorn will pop. Your popcorn will pop. And remember, commit 5 years to this thing. Commit 5 years. And have the expectation you're going to commit to 5 years. And 5 years from now, you're going to look up and you're going to go, holy cow, I can't even believe how far I've come in 5 years. Don't look at this thing and have an expectation. I'm going to give it a month and see what it works. I hate that. It's stupid. So don't do that. So go out there and crush it. Have a phenomenal Monday. God bless.